What's up, everybody? My name is Thang. This is Christian.
Hello.
We're here from HOCA, and we are low-budget filmmakers, struggling filmmakers just like you. And we just want to create a show where we can share with you some tips and tricks of how to make certain things happen. And today, we're talking about sci-fi short films. How do we make them? They seem so daunting. They seem so big. The Star Wars, the Marvels, Tenet.
Yeah,
they shoot things backwards. It's fucking creepy.
Inception.
About a year ago, we both were obsessed with the show Black Mirror, right? And so we wanted to make a short film that is of the same tone. And we shot a short film called Caretakers. It has gone around different festivals around the country, and now it is showing on our YouTube channel currently. Go check it out. But today, our goal here is to share with you that we could make a sci-fi short film on a small budget. Welcome to Applebox Confession.
I'm 9 now. That one's for babies.
Yes, but you and your mother have read this story every week since you were very little.
Is that the new Caretakers prototype?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Sorry, I'm just curious. So she works on her own, but you can control her, right?
That's how it works, yeah. My purpose in being here is to make your life easier. I care for David. It is my job. If you start to trust me, your life will instantly be better. Welcome back, Claire.
So as you just saw, this film is based in the future where you can control an artificial intelligence clone of yourself while you sleep.
Making a sci-fi short film is all about believability. We have faced some challenges like having one actress playing two roles and building a world that is in the near distant future, however still grounded. And throughout this process, we have learned a few tips and tricks in order to make this happen, to keep things simple and low budget. And here's tip number one. Simple visual effects that do not break your bank. Now, with every single sci-fi film, planning is key. Pre-production is key. You have a lot of options when it comes to visual effects. There's a lot of free assets online that you can find in different resources. Video Copilot.
AEscripts.com is a great one to go to. CreativeCow.net has a bunch of great tutorials.
So know what your expenses are and then plan the type of shots, not only in the budgetary arenas, but you also want to think about making sure that you have the shots that you can execute on set to make sure that your post-production do not kill you. Now, with that, we're going to dive into a couple of examples that we have from our film that we found simplistic in execution, yet make a huge difference.
So in the film, there is a node that Claire puts on her head to start controlling Liara when she goes to sleep. So for that, we actually took something very, very simple. We took a little prop, and it was like a little button or so.
Yeah.
Printed a little label on it, and then we added some glow in After Effects and post-production to make it light up, almost to make it look like it had a little ring light on it. So the tracking process, honestly, is fairly straightforward. After Effects has a great tracker in it called HOCA. And it tracks really, really fast and really, really precise. So literally you click the track button, you might have to go and clean up a couple things, but all in all, like the tracking probably took 10 minutes.
Just make sure that your shots are clean so that when you use HOCA, these things track faster and your process and time will be condensed in the most efficient amount of time. We used another thing, and this is a slightly more expensive option if you have the budget for, which is Red Giants, right? They have discounts for student as well, but they allowed you to have a lot of different plugins that we use in our films, right? And these little things really made a difference in our films.
We used a lot of optical glow for a lot of things, whether that be the node that Claire puts on to transition into Liara. We also used it for the charging station that she has, that Liara has set up next to her when she's sleeping, if you will. So with that, what's nice about the charging station though is it's literally just a bunch of squares and text. Like it's that simple to do. And what we did was we added a little bit of glow to that to almost make it feel like it was holographic.
We created these different interfaces so that we could make this near distant future world feel a little bit more believable sporadically throughout different locations in the film and have this world that feels familiar yet distant in the same time.
And literally, if you can get a handle on tracking, then you can get a handle on anything when it comes to VFX.
Now that we have talked about the simple visual effects that you can do without breaking your bank, here is tip number 2. Build a creative lookbook. This is probably the most important singular document besides your script, essentially, before making a sci-fi. This document will determine what lighting you need, what locations you need, and what visual effects you need, amongst many other things. And having all these things speak in harmony will make the world more believable, right? And the more that you plan, the more precise you can be with the art, with the production design, with your director's statement of what it is that you're trying to make your audience feel, the better you plan, the less money you lose.
I mean, and lookbooks aren't just important to directors, they're important to everyone on set. Without the lookbook, Tang and I might not have been on the same page, which would have caused a pretty big train wreck, I would say, on set, especially if we're having to decide things on that day or plan on that day. So take, for instance, the apartment location we had in the film. We used a lot of muted colors to signify that apartment. What we wanted to do with those muted colors is it helped kind of ground the film, I would say, in reality, right? But we also wanted to show kind of the character's mood. So what this lookbook did was we were both able to sit down and see this exactly what the vision of the film was, so we could go and make this film as quick and as cheap as possible.
I believe in the importance of a lookbook because it's a moral compass of the film and is the best toolkit, communication toolkit for a director to communicate with the rest of the crew. Now, if you don't have crew, this is just as important for you to plan it out in your head so that you can execute these things without taking so much time that it pulls down your motivation. So if you don't have a ton of money, plan, build your lookbook. Find all the references on Pinterest, on Google Images, on different resources. What's that resource that you use? ShotDeck? ShotDeck. Yeah, in ShotDeck, which is a great platform that cinematographers post information of how they shot certain scenes. And you can use this, watch tutorials on YouTube, that you can plan this out and find all these references that will make your film come alive. That leads me to tip number 3. Pick the right location. Now, this is just good filmmaking tips in general. Now, pick the right location. What does that mean? It means location scout. It means looking up online. It means calling your friends, trying to find the right location that fits your world. Going back to tip number 2, once you determine in your lookbook of what these locations look like, you want to find one that is of help to you. You want to determine how exactly in these locations will you be executing your visual effects element. How can you craft it so that it speaks harmony with each other? Find something that is familiar in our world, but you add certain elements to make a difference into those locations. For example, the apartment that we chose for our protagonist to live in.
When speaking about this apartment, we were looking for something a little bit abnormal, but also something that was comfortable for most people, right? We wanted to make sure that it had that kind of X factor to make it feel like it was somewhere in the future, right? Whether it be some like strange shapes, the kind of the loft feel of the apartment. It had these huge windows all the way up to the 20-foot tall ceilings that we were utilizing. So this apartment just felt a little off, and that was perfect for what we needed.
Right, and you know how we save money for it? We called our friend. This was our friend's apartment, and these are things that you can find. Exercise your relationships with the people around you, and because this is the gateway to saving money on low budget filmmaking.
For another example, we had a scene set in a hospital in our script. Now, most of the time, trying to shoot and get a hospital to shoot in is very expensive. So we actually kind of just looked at the script and said, okay, we formulated this specific scene around a nurse's desk. So why don't we just look for that specific location? So we actually found an old abandoned school that looked exactly like a hospital could look, I guess, in the hallway.
And this is where the props for our production designer is due, because she props to the designer. We had a really good relationship with the local prop house. Relationship is key in this business, right? And we were able to build this abandoned school completely from an empty place to focus on a thing that we want to include in our frame. We were able to make this look sci-fi without spending a lot of money. There are many other simple things that you can do to still make your sci-fi short films successful that we haven't mentioned, like the sound libraries that you could choose from, like art lists, like different free assets, just like visual effects you can find online to add into your film to make it feel believable. So, making a sci-fi short film. It's hard. It is hard. We did make a lot of effort in order to make this, and we had a lot of wonderful help. However, there are things that you can do to not break your bank and be able to make your vision come true. Don't limit yourself. Being able to make this sci-fi short film was very freeing for me. It provided me the opportunity to see what was possible if you think outside the box, right? It just, these little things can go a long way. And so that's our tips and tricks for you. Hopefully that was helpful. That was our journey of making Caretakers. Go check out the film. It's on our YouTube channel. And then click on that red button down there to give us some validation, bro.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Goodbye, Lord Apple. That is our Apple Box Confession. Episode 2. Goodbye. Yeah, we're in good shape. Yeah, I hope so. Anyway, we'll find out in the edits. There it is.